everybody tonight, and if you have a problem hearing me, let me know. Just want to make a couple of comments. On our committees, we have the zoning, ethics, and the downtown development. If there's any of you, don't know if there's any in this room right now, but I know the zoning committee, I think some want to come on. So if you do, or if you know these people, or get word to them just to let me know. And we certainly have plenty that are willing to serve. And we really need to get organized on the zoning and I think the ethics committee may be okay, but the zoning is not. So we really need to get organized there. And first of all, we want to review the minutes. And after, I think we've had these, if you've had time to read them and review them, can I have a motion?
This is the first time I've seen
Okay.
our package, and I thought it was not.
Okay.
You emailed out last week.
No, it was up here. It was up here. The packets were up here.
I was gone last week.
Yeah, I was
But
told.
I thought we were told it was gonna be emailed.
Okay, well, it was, I mean, it's here if you want to take time to read it. We can come back to it later in the meeting if you want to do that. I've already read them.
We can approve them next time if we will. Cause I haven't yet.
Okay, y'all want to just table it?
I'll make a motion, we table it till next meeting.
I have a motion to table.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, be tabled. Okay, until the next meeting, to have a chance to read them. Okay, at this time, Rachel Steele is on, she's going to do a little presentation here, take us a few minutes, and I think Lydia has a ready to do it. Let's see. Rachel?
I'll move this podium, is that be okay?
You don't have to move it.
Oh, it doesn't need for me to see
Can you
it.
hear us? Can you hear us, Rachel?
Her sound, she will get it.
Hi, yes.
Hi.
I'm a Zoom user, and I didn't see, a camera, so I didn't know who it was.
Okay, it's us, if you want to go ahead, can you see?
Turn it up some.
No, I can't see.
Hold on just a second. We can see you. Okay, you can go ahead. We can see you. I know you might can't see us. I don't know what's wrong, but we got you.
Okay, y'all ready for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, sounds great.
Turn it up, please.
Just make sure I have some team members who are joining. There you go. Nice view. I have Sarai joining, and then we might have a couple other design team members pop in. They just want to be here in case y'all have any questions, and they can answer. But we can get started without them. Let me pull up my.
Who is she with?
Sherwood Designs out of Atlanta, it's an engineering firm.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rachel Still. I'm with Sherwood Design Engineers. I am coming here to talk to y'all a little bit about the past efforts we've been doing over the 12 months regarding flood resilience in Reidsville and Collins, mostly focusing on Reidsville for this presentation, but I'll link you to our deliverables where we also talk about Collins should you be interested. On the call today, I have Sarai, and she's with Biohabitats and is also part of the project team. And she'll be here in case you have any questions, especially about the ecological vegetation aspect of it. So, just to start off, wanted to show you the team chart and so we can, better identify who's all together and who's part of separate initiatives. There are a lot of ongoing initiatives that are happening at the same time, so it can be a little confusing. So, like I said, I'm with Sherwood Design Engineers. We're a civil engineering firm mostly focusing on stormwater. Sarai is with Biohabitats, they're the ecological experts. We are the two main firms that Promising Alliance. They were roped in through Reidsville Ga community floods. The local advocacy group, the Promising Alliance, got $35,000 to look at flooding at 6 properties, 3 in Reidsville, 3 in Collins. They hired my firm, Sherwood Design Engineers, to do a 12-week study. So we looked 11-week study, excuse me. So we had a report and we said, here's why these 6 properties are flooding, but really these are just parts of a larger problem. There are larger regional drainage inefficiencies that are happening. It's kind of like if you're thinking the flooding of these 6 properties are like analogous to a fever, but there's a root, virus that's actually causing the fever. And so you can do study scale recommendations to address this fever, this symptom of a large root problem. But there's a high risk that by doing flood alleviation at any of these 6 properties, you're just going to move the flooding to another property. You're just going to make the problem worse. You're going to keep tangling strings and make it harder to untangle in the future. That was our core recommendation, and Promising Alliance took that report and applied for this funding agreement with National Fish and Wildlife Service to look at this larger regional problem we're talking about and then develop next steps from there to continue alleviating the problem. That grant is this 12-month effort that we've officially concluded at the end of May. As part of this effort, we hosted community engagement events. We developed a larger regional watershed report that I'll be walking you through. We looked at some conceptual designs. This 6 properties aspect has actually changed due to later conditions we'll talk about, and then we provide recommendations for implementation. Any questions? Okay. Starting from the basics, I found this counterintuitive before I got started, so I just wanted to harp on it, make sure that we're all on the same page. Stormwater is water from rain that falls in the ground, and it's either not absorbed by the ground, which is what we call infiltration, or evaporated. And so it often, you'll see it as surface ponding, water on the surface. The difference between stormwater and flooding is basically flooding is stormwater that wasn't effectively drained and causing problems. Any questions on that? Oh, and these are just examples of stormwater incidents that we've collected photos from. Some of these we've taken ourselves, some of these were sent in by residents, just showing that stormwater is a problem here. I believe these 3 are in Reidsville, kind of near Chandler Avenue. You'll see the old elementary school right there, and Dolores Street, and then these 2 are in Collins. Like we said, there are symptoms, kind of individual, smaller flooding problems. They're all related to a larger, disrupted, ineffective kind of network. But these are the common, like small-scale symptoms that we're seeing. This one right here, development is placed in regional low points. So if you think, it's really hard to see with a visual eye because it's so flat there. But if you have survey data from a satellite and you're actually running desktop analysis, there will be these 2 or 3 property-sized low points where they were historic wetlands. In some scenarios, the soil characteristics indicate. Some others, it just has to do with the rolling topography. And in these low points, all the water is going to accumulate there, but since it's the lowest point, there's nowhere for the water to drain unless there's stormwater infrastructure, which, if you don't have stormwater infrastructure there, the water's gonna remain for a long time. This other one, roads are built at higher elevations than the land on either side. That's typically done to maintain safe travel through storm events. But if surface drainage is trying to move across the landscape downstream, and the roads are at higher elevation, it's gonna act like a dam, it's gonna block water. Especially if you don't have a culvert, which is common when, just because you don't see a creek doesn't mean it's not a common way that water drains. about that's helpful, and then provide education, especially with the water quality monitoring trainings. Sorry, we just had a design team member join, and I have to admit them. So give me 1 second. Hey, Margie. Okay, so moving on, that's basically all of the foundation work that we did to really drive the recommendations. This report right here that you'll see, this regenerative landscape plan, we completed last week. So we're going through a final round of, that is just to make sure that everything, all our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted before we release it publicly, but we'll be sending this to y'all soon. But this is our summary of our recommendations. This has all of our recommendations in it, ones that have been publicly released before and not, and it includes also all of our findings of existing conditions in far more detail than I just went through, and a summary of our outreach efforts, detailed next steps, etc. I'm just going to focus on the recommendations today. I have the report pulled up if you guys want to flip through it later, if you want advice on how to best use it or any questions about it, and then we'll send it to you next week. Mostly focusing on the recommendations. We offer 3 types of recommendations: approach recommendations, actual infrastructure recommendations, and policy recommendations. Excuse me. So the approach recommendations are basically like a step-by-step list of how to use everything else in the report. Where do you start? Where do you go next? Where do you finish? The regional drainage recommendations, we have 2 types of regional drainage recommendations. We have 2 large-scale recommendations, kind of like projects that are aimed at really big problem areas. And then we also have additional recommendations that are like site-scale, nature-based approach recommendations, green infrastructure, landscape-based storage and treatment solutions for flood mitigation concerns. How you pick which one to use in the approach recommendations. And then finally, we have policy recommendations. We believe that regional drainage recommendations can address a lot of the flooding concerns right now, but policy recommendations will make sure that development continues to be strategic in the future, so we can leverage everything that we've learned in the last couple of years and apply that to future development and make sure that the propagation of these problems does not continue. At the philosophy of our recommendation is looking at the drainage networks at a larger scale and making sure that we're looking at it from like a watershed scale framework. We're looking at all of the different networks that are interconnected feeding towards the creeks. In Reidsville specifically, we observed Brazos Creek watershed. We've noted more the flooding for the Thomas Creek watershed, so recommendations are focused towards the Thomas Creek watershed, but this applies to the Brazos Creek as well. In historic conditions before development, all of these different fingers of drainage paths, whether you could see them on sunny days or not, they all interconnected and gradually accumulated until they became a creek. In present conditions, we have properties that don't necessarily align with, where flows are expecting to join together, and there can be a lot of water. Roads are at higher elevations, kind of blocking these drainage networks. The whole thing is disrupted. In future conditions, at the core of our philosophy is interconnecting all of these different fingers to make sure that it can function somewhat similarly to how it did in pre-development conditions, and we can reap the benefits of this service that the earth has evolved millions and millions of years to develop, to provide this benefit. Over millions and millions of years, it has picked this path of least resistance for how to drain the water, and we should just, if we can interconnect these paths and use the process that the earth has already derived, then we have to do less to counteract it. like I said, there are policy recommendations and there are specific green infrastructure implementation recommendations. We also have one large scale recommendation in Reidsville and one in Collins. These are just part of our recommendations. I'm just going to review the Reidsville one with y'all. I can show you where the Collins one is. And then if y'all have any more questions about it, let me know. But in Northeast Reidsville, this area all highlighted in white. This white dash line is 140 acres, it's 130 properties. You can see these surface drainage paths, these like little squiggly blue lines. We generated them with a computer using survey data, like satellite data that has elevations associated with it. So even though it's so flat, you can't see it in real life, we can understand how water is draining across this landscape. Oops. So for this area, you see this wide deep drainage path, and this one right here. This is how, before any development, this is how the land drained towards a tributary, you know, like a feeder creek to Tom's Creek down here. Since then, there's been earthwork filling in the creek beds. There's been roads built at higher elevations. These creek paths right here, you can only really see them when they're actually conveying water because there's so little water going to them. So it's totally understandable how to see that these were covered. These yellow spots right here is where we indicated those low points. These also indicate soil characteristics that they have really, really high groundwater, really poor infiltration rates. These are also the lowest points. It's no wonder that these two areas are expected to flood. Additionally, you'll see these ditch networks right here. Not any ditch networks in here to convey water. This one right here outfalls, and then it travels to this ditch. When this ditch overflows, it goes to this wetland. And this pipe network down here has very little capacity because it's so flat. A lot of problems tied up in one. Any questions on this before I continue? Did you say something?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay. And proposed conditions, before I start, this is just an initial concept. I fully expect, anticipate, and hope that this will change in size, shape, cost, extent, everything. This is just an initial vision, putting something on the paper for everyone to collaborate on in future scope effort. Not any part of this is completely inflexible. It can be accounted for in the future. So, in proposed conditions, we included And there are also additional opportunities for programming throughout. That was part of another team scope hired by the EPA to do the community outreach that you saw in March. We built off each other's efforts, but we mostly focused on the engineering of it. They focused on the programming part of it. Any questions on that?
I have a question. So I heard you say at the beginning of this slide that everything is amendable right here, correct? Like, okay,
Correct?
alright, that was my question.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was my question, that there can be amendments made at this point, but the amendments that I'm asking about still take care of drainage and all, but we can make amendments to what we're seeing right here.
Yes, absolutely. So engineering is an extremely iterative process. When we looked at kind of next steps for this, we estimated that engineering design would take 12 to 18 months, and it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, not of y'all's money, somebody else's money. But they're meant to iterate and go back to this concept and make small tweaks hundreds and hundreds of times, whether that's based off cost, design optimization, community priority or need, anything at all. This is just an initial starting place to convey a thought that another federal agency can say, yes, that's a good idea. Yes, you've proven at a high level that it would work. We want to give you more money to keep thinking about that thought.
So my other question, Rachel, would be like, so we work together with the county, we also work with EMA. Like, I know you guys talked to them initially, but at this point, can we still bring the county in and get a whole perspective, like, of what the county thinks that we should do, what the city thinks we should do, and get everybody together on a technical standpoint with the plan that you have together? Because I know the county feels like we can mitigate some of the issues a different route, and what if we went that different route and did something similar to this? Like, are you willing to work with the engineers that we have too on the plan as well?
I am a cog in the machine. I'm not that high of a person. Our scope, like my team's scope, has technically ended. So in terms of my firm has we're no longer on a team that's officially coordinating. Given that, I am happy to have a conversation, to have a phone call with the city engineer. I've met with the city engineer about this, but with the county engineer, and I'm happy to explain our approach and, give feedback on his approach on a continuous operation. I no longer have a role in this, but I can point you to recommendations of how, within our report, we have recommendations of how we suggest y'all operate with the city and the county partnership on this.
The reason why I'm asking that is because after this is done, those two entities, which is the city and the county, we're gonna have to take care of this baby. So I just wanna make sure that we have say-so in the beginning versus, hey, we did this, we helped y'all, and here you go, it's y'all's little ugly baby. So.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that it's not a perfect slam dunk. There should be no conversations following. It's meant to be something that is a first pass that everyone comes together on and gives their opinion on, and then the final solution maybe looks something like this. Maybe it doesn't. It should follow the same intent of providing flood mitigation for these 140 acres. But that's, one of the very few core requirements of what this has to look like. And signing up for next steps is agreeing to continue to have conversations about it. And that's about the only thing that's really committing, I think, in terms of maintenance. The level of maintenance that's willing to be incurred would affect just one aspect of things that would heavily influence how this would look in the future. I can't give any definitive estimate on how much this would cost. I don't have the numbers. This isn't developed to a level of detail that I don't want to tell you one thing and then it's totally different. Traditionally, nature-based solutions do require less maintenance because they're natural. You know, they take care of themselves. There is some maintenance involved, probably biannually or annually, but anything more than that, I'm happy to point you all to resources where you can evaluate these considerations and answer any like direct questions of where to find more information. I just personally don't have any more information as part of this scope.
Okay, and I got one more question. So,
Yeah.
so the potential water that would be collected, who is responsible for testing the water to make sure it's safe? Period. Just, I know it's stormwater, I know it's captured water, but if we wanted to test the water, make sure that nothing is mitigating the water or getting in the water, to make sure it's safe, period, who does that?
That's a great question. Okay, so there's a couple layers to it. There's, in terms of managing the grant, so like if you were to apply for a federal grant to apply to, design and construct this, you would, in the grant application, it would say, and one of the benefits of you giving us this money to build the park is we're gonna improve water quality. And so whoever owns the grant is giving you the money is gonna say, prove it. Which is, standard and pretty fair. And so for actual grant compliance, there will be like water quality monitoring for 2 to 3 years, whatever the performance period is. That is actually Maggie's specialty. She's been thinking through the process. She's been leading the water quality monitoring trains that we've had already. We've looked at having part of the readiness plan that we've evaluated would include volunteers for that. Beyond that, the state does regular monitoring themselves. The city might have to do regular monitoring. It depends on your regulation or your actual governing body, and I'm not sure on what their monitoring requirements are in terms of frequency.
And would this be considered part of our wastewater or our clean water initiative, or part of our watershed part that goes up under our, like, if we have a water sewer department, is this something that is a part of it? Or does this become a part of our, parks and recreation? Like, once it's ours, once we're outside of that 3-year period, is this a part of a water program, or is this a part of a recreational program?
These are great questions. So it would be part of the water and sewer because it's not drinking water and it's not wastewater. So it's stormwater. Typically, if you're thinking of like a big city, they would have their own, like the city of Atlanta has the Department of Watershed, and they usually handle these types of projects. That will not be likely applicable at all. Whoever's owning your stormwater pipes, your ditches, is likely the person who would be in charge of the park. But there are partnerships
think we're good.
Okay, so like I said, that's just one of the recommendations. We've also presented, regional drainage recommendations for Collins in the report. Smaller scale, similar concepts, not put in here just for time, but pointing to it, should you be curious. We also have, this implementation toolkit and the policy recommendations that you mentioned. So this implementation toolkit, within our approach framework, the
we need to wrap it up. It's been under 30 minutes. We got a long meeting, but I appreciate it, and appreciate your presentation, and maybe you could send us what you've got there.
Absolutely. I can send you what we got, and happy for anyone to reach out and give any questions.
Okay, we appreciate that, Rachel. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye. Okay, we'll move on with our department head reports. We'll start with the fire department.
Jim O and them had a call for a truck fire at 4:30, so they're all tied up.
That's right. Okay, I remember something about, okay, police chief.
We had 11 accidents, 331 calls of service, 116 traffic stops, 36 citations, 77 warnings. Then we had 32 regular incident reports. We made $4,674 in payment amount for fines, probation $1,152, for a total of $5,826. And then we turned over one sexual assault case for the county, and then we had one warrant executed for the county.
Thank you. Donna, are you good with code inspection?
Okay. We've been working on the yards pretty hard. We got between 6 and 7 yards cleaned up that was overgrown and high grass. We had cleaned up yards, and actually more than cleaned up yards on Kelly Street and on Main Street up here next to the Baptist Church. Just talked with today, the landowner that owns the property next to the Dollar Tree over here. It was the overgrown property line with grown trees on it. He wants to know how we want to proceed on it, and so we can get some people involved in trying to get that cleaned up, and for him paying for getting the fence put up. Also, we all attended, Trey and I and all of the department heads attended the hurricane meetings last week. We had a good meeting. We're trying to get where we can go do some first response with our department heads and get aware of what we need to do, when an actual hurricane comes through. Talked about the safe shelters and that kind of thing, so we got all of that taken care of. We do have 15 buildings and residents that also needs demolition. We got a couple of burnouts. We got one over here that we need to check on here and see if we can get that torn down, because I don't think it's in a condition to rebuild. We do have one property owner that wants to rebuild the house on a burnout, knowing that it might not pass code after he has completed it. So, and one more issue, we have Mike Patel's zoning was approved today. Yet to have the paperwork in hand. I guess that'll be on the next meeting, so forth. So that's about,
Mr. Bennett called.
that's about all I have.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Bennett called about that, and he's gonna come over tomorrow and submit it. We'll put it in the paper for
Yep.
them to have their hearing, and then it'll get to us next month. Okay, as far as admin goes, we're all here at the end of the year. We're ready to, coming up will be the budget, and we've had our 2 open meetings to the public, and we've had meetings ourselves, and it's coming up, unless y'all can think of anything else that's going on in place for the admin.
We got a lot of training going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of training, yeah. We're trying to get in every training we can everywhere. But we'll go ahead into the issues that we need to vote on. The budget. Rodney, I'm sorry. Rodney, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Right, I skipped over you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rodney.
New services 19, turnovers 26, turnoffs 32, re-reads 35, check releases 36 different residents, 6 sewer calls, 12 trash can deliveries. We had 3 busted water lines, 2 were 2 inch and a 3/4, 61 stops with an end truck, miscellaneous work orders 22, door hangers 18, sprayed mosquitoes 6 times, cut grass on Brumby Avenue, Alexander Avenue, Schuma Street, Avon Street, Gunny Street, Lloyd Street, Mimosa Circle, Small Street, Collins Street, Hudson Street, Tappan Street, North Main, South Main, East Bradley, West Bradley, Shepherd Bridge Road, Chandler Avenue, Memorial Drive, William Street, Oak Street, Ruin Street, Ellis, Hill, Blunt Street, McLeod Street, Lintown Road, and Industrial Boulevard, and the wastewater treatment plant. And cut Searcy Park twice, City Hall twice, Sandy Cemetery twice, Police Department twice, Firehouse twice, and the Garden Club.
Boy.
But everybody had it off.
If everybody moves like that, we get something done.
Okay,
Ronnie, have we got another grass cutter yet, or?
Yeah. I hired that guy I talked to you about.
Okay.
So, we doing good. I just got him going, might say last Friday. So, we moved.
Good job.
Thank you, man.
okay, we'll move on to the budget now. We won't have time to look at it, go over it. Can I have a motion, budget for year 25?
I make a motion that we accept the budget for the year 25.
All in favor? Okay, budget for 25 has passed. Okay, and, this one we will sign, okay, get one, excuse me, I have myself. Okay, here it is, okay. All right, the rezoning for the gymnastics place, we talked about that in the, last meeting, I believe it was. It's, Don, where's that, what's that address over there at the,
It's on Chandler, it's the 121.
okay, they want to build a gymnastics place there, it's the, it's of course residential now, we've had the hearings, all that's been done, nobody came to the ones that we had, and I don't believe anyone came to the ones that they had, as far as I know, the ones on the, over at the gymnastics place. Huh? Didn't we have those already?
We just had public hearings.
We just had the vote, okay, well, I'm sorry, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, rezoning for the gymnastics, has the zoning committee had, or is anybody here on the zoning committee? No, that's what I don't know.
Well, when will they have that? Have they scheduled something?
That's what we need to do now.
Well, it's got approved here, it's been passed, I think.
On the zoning committee, it's been passed, it was, came to us, and we
Now
were,
you gotta schedule the hearing.
okay, I thought we did that, we didn't do that, okay. All right, so we'll have to, schedule the hearing for the gymnastics. We'll have to put it in the paper first, we'll put a sign outside, and, then we'll go with it, the next meeting, we'll decide. We'll have it in the paper this week, I'll make a note, put that in the paper tomorrow. And Don's already talked about the dilapidated properties, have you, Don? We're good on that. Okay, on the new business, we've got the elections mapping. I think we kind of discussed this, I think Joanne, myself, and maybe, Olivia.
So, on the elections mapping, I put a copy of the map that I have that outlines it according to what the charter says, as closely as I can. I don't have anything to present to the elections board about what we say our elections map is. And so I need the council to define that for me. So I can have an election, official map drawn, A, and B, so we know what is what.
You're varying from the charter,
And what-
period. It does not define posts, I think we've already settled
We're
this.
not talking about posts, I'm just talking about, up to date. I'm not talking about wards, I'm not talking about posts, I'm talking about, do y'all want me to go to the election poll and give them this and say, this is what the council says our wards and posts are? I'm asking for the council to look at this map, and if you're okay with it, I'm gonna give it to the elections, and we're gonna do elections off this map, is what I'm saying.
This is the map that the Heart of Georgia has, correct?
that we give them this. So this is what was given to them, this is what
We
we're
didn't give
saying.
it to them, it's already there, right?
It was
before.
already there.
Okay.
So I'm asking, is this what y'all still wanna go by? And if this is what you wanna go by, I'm cool with it, but this is what you're gonna have to go by. Go ahead, Luann, it look like boiling over to say something.
Well, I wanna say, we've got some issues that we need the city remapped. We cannot amend the charter without going to the legislature. And we can't, it is an almost impossibility to do that with the way our charter is currently written, or the way our current charter is currently drafted. Before we do anything like that, we need the city to be counted for a population in order to be able to draw the
I agree.
proper information that we need to give to the elections board. I recommend before we do anything that we go to the heart of Georgia and see about them not remapping, but recounting the city, and that way that'll give us a better idea of how we draw things up.
So not, the regional commission doesn't do that, we have to go to, the Census Bureau.
Okay?
And the Census Bureau will have to recount us. But from what we've been told, we're not gonna be recounted till the next census comes up. Do y'all want me to take Sydney's map and take it up there, and that's what y'all gonna use?
This ain't my map, this is the map that I had. And, yeah. Well, it's got the council pictures back in that one too. There you go, Madam Mayor. And it goes through people's yards and all like that. That's how it says it.
I think I got that.
Is this the one that GMA, I'm trying to see, which one does our regional commission have? And this one is different. Well, you got to get the one we have to use the one that regional commission has, right? Unless we change it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was asking if regional commission has this one. We can't just up and use that one, right?
No, we can't, I mean, if this is the one that's.
Regional commission doesn't have any,
Whoever you said. I
yeah,
thought you said.
they don't have any concrete map, that's what I'm saying. This is a copy of a copy that they had, they can't even tell me what it came.
This is the Heart of Georgia map. It
If-
coincides with that.
If it coincides with that, that's fine, but if this is the last map that we've gotten, that we've been given, I think we need to go with it.
Do we know that? I need that confirmed. I'm okay if it's from them, I don't have a problem with it, let's make sure.
I know that map like you got, like Sydney has the last map I have at home.
Nibby, I know you asked Heart of Georgia for the maps back in election time. Is that the map that they gave you?
This is the map I was given 2 years ago, I haven't asked for a new map.
And they gave that to you?
What they told me is they have never been given a clear map from the city of Reidsville, and they asked me to submit one, and I have nothing to
You're
submit.
talking about the election board, you're not talking about Heart of Georgia.
Both. Because when I asked the elections board, where did they need it from? They need it from an official entity. The official entity is asking the council for a map.
What can
And listen, I'm not worried about the post, I just,
And
really-
you look at that map and this map and see what, I mean, it should I would think it would cover the five.
They do.
If it coincides,
And
there's
if
no
it
problem.
coincides, there's no issue.
but here's the
It's just
thing.
bigger,
This
so
is
it
what the
look,
county
you know,
gave us with the post that came
Luann, what's the
from
date
Heart
on
of
it?
Georgia.
That's what I'm looking at. It's got post 1, John Wingate, post 2, Virgil Duckworth, post 3, Stephen Thomas, this is old.
That's the old count.
Post 1, Curtis, post 2, Carolyn, I don't see a date on it. It just says Reidsville City, Reidsville base map.
Yes, that's from the Heart of Georgia, and that's a portion of the Heart of Georgia map. As of election time last year, that was the current map Heart of Georgia had.
The smaller one or the larger
The
one?
large one. smaller version.
It's a smaller version, but it's not, wards 1 and ward 2 aren't delineated in it.
You'd have to go to the charter and draw the streets out.
Right. Okay, this large one has the streets drawn out.
If you wanna speak to the post, to speak to the post, you have to do a populace
Have to do what?
count.
I don't know.
Because then you have to say, are there more people in Ward 1 or Ward 2, and you try to even it out as much as possible, that would redraw the lines, I'm not asking for that.
Yeah, but this needs to be confirmed. I hear what everybody's saying, and that sounds good. How do you confirm that? I don't wanna just, you don't wanna just vote something willy-nilly.
Right, the
You know what
council
you're talking
can
about.
confirm that to me tonight.
Yeah, I think
We
when
got-
Gina was here, I thought we had a stack of them big maps out of the front of the biggest house.
I mean, who's gonna look at that and take the time to do that tedious work to make sure that they're the same? Somebody needs to.
Jeannie, do you think there's some maps here somewhere that has the right, that you?
I mean, that was 6
years
years ago. I have no idea. We kept them up where, in that
Up
little
in that-
front alcove where Don is now.
There's still one in there, right?
There's
There's
some,
one hanging on the wall.
Yeah. I got a stack of them at home, I think.
But all we have to do is contact Heart of Georgia and they'll send us a map.
So what you're saying is, whatever the Heart of Georgia got, that's where we're gonna go back.
That is our official map, yes.
Okay. That's fine.
okay, so we got that. Heart of Georgia
Can I
map.
get that in a vote, please?
Okay, we accepted the small map as the Heart of Georgia map. Can I have a motion?
I would say that we get I'll make a motion that we acquire the map from the Heart of Georgia, and that be our official map we give to the county for
Election.
elections.
What, I thought you said the Heart of Georgia looked to you to give them a map.
They did.
So,
Well,
They have a map, but they just wanna know that that's our official map, right?
Nivea, Jess, your question?
They have a map, they have what we gave them.
I think we need to, can we put this off and let you investigate that and come back to
We
us?
can inquire as to the Heart of Georgia, I guess the notion would be inquire as to the Heart of Georgia as to the status of the map, if there is a map. If there is a map, that we present it to the elections, if not, then we come back and we have this conversation next month.
If they do have a map, like a full view of the map, not just a.
Okay.
That's on the corner of them.
Do I have a motion for that, please? What was
He
your
did,
second?
he did, he raised.
I'll make, I'll
Okay,
second that.
second.
I'll
Okay,
second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Okay, yes, all right, we'll get that. Okay, in your packets, there's a LMIG contract from Hofstadter. They sent out the bids, the roads, and the winner was Sykes Brothers with the lowest bid. I say the winner, they had the lowest bid anyway. And they're waiting on this, my signature on this. If y'all agree with the Sykes Brothers getting it, then email Mr. Carl back and Chad back and let him know if I can have a motion to accept the lowest bid from the Sykes Brothers.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Sykes Brothers.
I'll second.
All in favor?
uh,
Okay, accept the bid from Sykes Brothers.
What's that amount?
The amount is,
$185,810.10.
and the highest amount was $368, $368,185. So there's quite a range there from the, so we're going with the Sykes Brothers for that, okay? And, Mr. Johnson, is he here tonight? Okay, he's not here, okay. All right, we'll put that off then. He's not here, was he wanted to make a presentation tonight? Go ahead.
Are you talking about putting the Pine Street thing from Mr. Johnson off for another month?
Well, he's not here, he wanted to be on the agenda.
Well, let me tell you something. He's been before this council several
Oh,
times
I know,
about closing Pine Street.
I know.
If we ever do something back in that area where they're talking about this walking trail, that will be an entrance into that.
I know that, Sydney. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the letter he got. I'm aware of everything, but he wanted his voice to be heard.
Okay.
So that's all I was doing.
It's the same old song.
Yeah, I know. We can't get rid of that street. It's our only access back there. We can't, but he wanted to speak, so I was gonna give him that opportunity. Okay, he's not here.
Street open,
Okay, we're talking, we gotta announce that Doug's vacancy, the Ward 2 council seat. Maybe, I think you said we announce in the next 3 weeks. Okay, so, where people have time to come out and apply, whatever, and, have their time to do all they need to meet the requirements. But, anyway, that will be in the paper, we'll do this week or next week.
Thank you, Benita.
Next week. I'm going, I'm
We
sorry.
still need to have a, letter of resignation
Yeah,
from him, and then the council will still have to vote
Accept his
approve
resignation.
before he posted it in the paper.
Okay, well, we have the letter from Doug, I'm sorry, it's not here in this packet, I'm sorry. But, if can we have a motion to accept his resignation? I'll provide you with the letter. I'll email it to each of you, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to accept his resignation?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept this resignation.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Okay, I'll make sure you get a copy of this letter. Okay, and with that takes care of, we've got to go into executive session.
I forgot to put the special events, we just got some special events last week, they're in the packet, they're in the packet.
Oh, that's the one that was on there. Okay, just a second.
One is for, annual water day at Surrency Park, 4th of July weekend. And the other one is for the fall in the bill that Cedric Bacon does in the fall, but he wants to do a parade this coming year, so he's giving us several months in advance to approve having a parade.
Okay, let me look at this just a minute. Let's see.
All the department heads have a copy,
I did, what was the date on the, parade and the,
like October.
October? I think I saw it on the, I couldn't tell.
It says 10/19.
10/19.
Okay, the water day is, July the 6th, I believe, from 1 to 6. At the, park, Community Water Day. It says annual event, renting of water slides, ice cream truck, vendor setups, 1 to 6 at Conservancy Road Park.
I'll make a motion that we approve both of them.
Okay, we've got a motion and we got a second. All in favor? Okay, both approved.
I wanna make a mention before we get too far on that election, so that means, that the way we've been doing it, anybody in that ward, second ward, can run for this seat.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
Okay.
right.
I just wanna make sure that.
My group, Reidsville, Georgia Community Floods, donated 25 red eastern cedar tree seedlings for downtown revitalization. I just wanted to know, are they alive?
Mine are.
Oh.
They're growing.
Okay.
They've actually got them in the ground.
Okay, thank you.
All for motion that we go into executive
Yeah.
session.